Hey, everybody, Kevin here with Pursuing Pixels, and welcome back to another edition of Save It for the Cast, and you know the drill by now. This week we've got the full crew in action once again, John, Randall, and I, and we're talking all sorts of video game goodies. I know I say that we're all over the map pretty much every week, but this week we're truly all over the map. We kind of kick things off talking a little Donkey Kong Country Returns, not necessarily about the game itself, although, funnily enough, I'm actually going to get to that in a little bit here. At the time I hadn't picked it up just yet, but we talk about like kind of the price points, all these different remakes like Metroid Prime Remastered, even get back to like some of like, you know, Resident Evil 4 on the Wii. Then we veer into like Ninja 5.0, some of these like modern re-releases of retro games, mint condition stuff. We talk a little Mr. Gimmick. John gets into some various PS2 games. We're really truly like all over the map. We talk some Operation Rainfall, all those JRPGs that got like kind of like a fan campaign that kind of basically like forced Nintendo, or not Nintendo, maybe it was Nintendo, I don't remember, but basically forced the hand to get those kind of localized and brought over to North America. But yeah, as always, before we kick it over to the conversation and all that, and we veer into all sorts of stuff even beyond that too. But before we get over to that conversation with John, Randall, and I'm going to talk about some of the stuff that I've been playing lately. And I guess, like I said at the top here, I hadn't picked it up just yet at the time of the conversation we're going to kick it over to in just a little bit here. But I did end up just cracking just the other day and picking up Donkey Kong Country Returns HD. And I gotta say, I just actually got done streaming a couple of games, and I started it off with this one here because I was like, you know what, I played Tropical Freeze on a stream going back to it, and I will say just off the top, like these two games were like among my favorite. I will say Tropical Freeze even in particular. After I finished that game, I said like, this is my favorite 2D platformer I've ever played, period. Like I would say it surpassed Super Mario World at the time. And then when I went back and revisited it on Switch, I think on a stream, I think I'd maybe played some of it outside of the stream as well. But I was like, I'm still loving it and everything, but I was just like, man, it's lost a little bit of its luster or magic or, you know, whatever it was. I guess it wasn't necessarily the magic because, you know, it was doing a lot of the same things that Returns did. So that said, going back to Donkey Kong Country Returns in HD, and I had played the demo on Switch, and I was like, yeah, it looks HD enough. And I'm just happy to have it on the Switch here. I was a little bummed that it was a full $60, which we'll get into obviously in the conversation coming up, but I saw it on Amazon for I think 48 or 49, and I had a few spare Amazon bucks laying around, so I was like, you know what, why not? It's going to be about $45 out of my pocket. And I really, really love this game. And I got to say, going back to it, I'm having a little bit of the opposite reaction I had to revisiting Tropical Freeze. Like, I am just loving this game. I only played through the first world, but man, the level design is just so tight and so incredible. And again, not to say anything negative about Tropical Freeze or anything, but I guess I just kind of maybe going in with those softer expectations to revisiting this game this time around. I just really have been blown away so far. And not there, you know, they did cut some corners on the HD stuff here and there, like some of the like, you know, dust trails behind Donkey Kong when he's running and stuff like that, or like the smoke effects and stuff like that are like a little bit cheap, just like in Metroid Prime Remastered. They cut a few corners here and there. But for the most part, the game just looks awesome. It plays just as good as ever. It's really nice to play it not on a Wiimote. I know you could play it with a few different control options on the Wii, but I think I played it with the Wiimote specifically because back then I was like, I got to play 2D platformers with a D-pad, which I kind of really don't feel that way at all anymore. I tend to veer towards the joystick. But it's really nice to just play like with buttons and not have to do any like Wii remote shaking to do the roll in particular, because you really got to get a little bit precise with that, or sometimes you just want to roll constantly, like with Diddy Kong. When you have both characters, you're able to kind of just like constantly roll basically across the whole level. And in this case, instead of, you know, waggling the Wii remote constantly, or, you know, like waving it up and down, I can just basically mash on the Y button or the shoulder buttons. You can kind of swap between a couple different control schemes, but nonetheless, I just got to say, Donkey Kong Country Returns, whether HD or whether you're playing it on the Wii, this game, or I guess the 3DS, which is one of the reasons that put me over the top too. They apparently added like another like world of levels in the 3DS version, and that world is in this HD remake. Although it doesn't say it anywhere like on the box or anything like that, or at least not anywhere that I noticed. So I don't know how you access that, or if it's some kind of bonus world at the end of the game. or how that works. But nonetheless, I'm pretty excited to get into that, and I am really excited to say that this game holds up just as good as ever. So I'm having a blast with that one. And then actually on the same stream, I ended up going right over to Donkey Kong 94, which just came out on the Nintendo Switch Online. It's a Game Boy game, which I think I may have talked about on a previous Save It for the Cast. I was thinking that I had streamed it or made a video of it in the past as well, but I looked on our YouTube channel and I was like, oh, there's nothing on there for this game. So I was like, I'm going to do a stream of this one. And if you're not familiar, which I was not, like I never had this game growing up and really didn't know too much about it until like, I can't remember who brought it to my attention initially as like, hey, you got to check out Donkey Kong on Game Boy. Cause it's like kind of is like, I guess if you're not familiar, I guess, spoiler alert, sort of. But it starts out as if it's kind of just going to be like a Game Boy version of Donkey Kong. You're basically playing like the single screen classic, twists on the classic levels. Although you right away, maybe you don't notice it right away if you're not familiar with the game, but like you do have like a new move set for Mario, like a really expressive move set. But when you're just starting out the game, it's like basically 4 stages of traditional Donkey Kong arcade action, and then all of a sudden it turns more into like a little bit of an action puzzle platformer, or a puzzle action platformer, I should say, to emphasize that a little more properly, with an emphasis on the puzzle. But with still a ton of like action platforming as well. It's like a really nice split between the two, actually, because again, that expressive move set from Mario, like when you look at it at a glance, if you just saw like a screenshot, you might think like, oh, this looks like one of those like Bugs Bunny Crazy Castle games on Game Boy, which I had one of those growing up. Maybe people aren't as familiar with those, but I think there's even games in the series outside of Bugs Bunny, just in the Crazy Castle series. But they're basically like, they have a little bit of scrolling, but they're like side-on, essentially single-screen arcade platformers, but with a little bit of like, more of like a maze or puzzle element to them. But in this game, again, with Mario's moveset, like you can, a lot of the like 3D Mario games, I feel like have adopted the moveset from this game. Like even just like if you're running to the right and then quickly, pivot to the left and jump, like you'll do kind of like a backflip. And then there's just some moves that are kind of like exclusive to this game where you can like do like a handstand and then block, like a barrel with your foot or something like that, or different projectiles. And you can also like jump on top of different enemies and pick them up like you can in Mario 2 or something like that, and then throw them at other enemies or just throw them into a spike pit. And there's different, levers that you can grab and pull. And there's like electrical line. I guess they're not electrical, but like, just comes some kind of, I was going to say zip line, but whatever, a clothesline or something that you can grab and kind of like swing across or like, spin around and then launch yourself from. It's just, there's so many awesome mechanics. Even like if you fall from too high, you die. But if you fall from like a certain height and you like are moving forward at the right momentum, you'll do like a little somersault roll. Like it feels so amazing, even for any platform, let alone being a Game Boy game. And especially if you've ever played like the Super Mario Land games on Game Boy, like even Super Mario Land 2, which kind of spruces things up a little bit visually. It's kind of more of a mess in some ways in my my personal opinion, but I like Super Mario Land 1 a little bit more. But both of those games are like a little bit janky, a little bit rough around the edges, and this game is, I guess, in some ways as well, just by the nature of it being a Game Boy game. But at the same time, it just plays so smooth. The level design is so clever. There's a little extra challenge, if you want to challenge yourself to get the 3 collectibles on each stage, which then allows you to get some extra, 1-ups and stuff like that at the end via like a, slot machine or a few different like kind of just luck based mini games. But just really, really fun stuff. I really, really love that game. And I don't think I have a cartridge of that one on Game Boy. So it's one that I really need to track down. I probably won't really talk about these here at all, but I also like did a stream recently where I played a little Super Mario 3 and Kirby's Adventure just to play a couple of my favorite NES games. And I got to say, Mario 3 doesn't quite hold up for me as much. It'll probably come up on a future Save It for the Cast because I was talking about this a little bit with Randall and John the other day. And but Kirby's Adventure, on the other hand, has always been at a point in time I remember thinking like this is overtaken, like this is my favorite NES game, and it's pretty much, I would say, still has remained that. There's some other contenders maybe with like the original Zelda and stuff like that, but yeah, I just really, really love that game. It's just got so much energy and charm and personality, and I don't know. It's might be simple in a lot of ways, but it's just so good. And then the other game that I've been playing quite a bit of, well, actually, I beat The Legend of Zelda Minish Cap, but I'm going to be talking about that on podcast proper. Although I hadn't beaten it just yet at the time when I talk about it, but I'll probably give a little follow up when I can get together or when we get together for the next proper recording session here. But the other game that I've been playing quite a bit of actually on my computer, whether I have it hooked up to the TV or just a little bit ago, I was playing on my laptop here while I was watching some basketball, I guess, kind of channeling a little John and Randall here. But I was playing a little Mini Motorways, which I'm a big fan of, both Mini Metro and Mini Motorways, both from the same developer. But Mini Motorways, I think I like just a little bit more. I got to say, I've now played quite a bit more of this one than I have of Mini Metro. I only have Mini Metro on my phone and have only ever, picked it up for a few quick sessions here and there. And it was up to this point, or up until like this week, I guess, it was pretty much the same thing for Mini Motorways. I was like, okay, more of the same, but with, roads instead of a subway system. But now that I've had, for whatever reason, I just decided to fire this up the other day. I was like, this seems just like a good game that I could like have a podcast on in the background and have it's got a great soundtrack and soundscape. Actually, that's one of like the highlights of the game. The soundtrack itself is fantastic. It's a little more like it is better like background music, if you will, but like the soundscape, like all the sound design, everything about it is just so satisfying to just click on anything or delete something or whatever. But it's just like the nature of it being the roads instead of the subway systems. It's just like a little more free form and allows you to just like, I don't know, it's the perfect game to kind of like relax with, but at the same time, it's like kind of like a stressful high score arcade or high score chasing, arcade game that I'm just having a blast with. And it gets a little bit stressful, but at the same time, you're able to, like I said, like throw a podcast on or watch some basketball or do whatever in the background without like having to like give this game your full focus. Or you're able to give this game your full focus while still kind of like focusing on something else, I guess, if that makes sense. But there's a couple like you play it pretty much entirely with your mouse, or you can play it entirely with your mouse, but there's a couple hotkeys to like either pause time, go into regular speed, or go into fast motion, which is nice to just like juggle between. And like a lot of times I'll just go into fast motion and then it'll randomly populate a few new like houses. Basically, there's a bunch of different like color coded, either like, I don't know if there's stores or houses or garages or whatever, and they'll kind of correspond with one another. And then you have to, connect the roads to make sure that the cars can get from point A to point B. And then things just kind of like expand as like every week that goes by, you'll get either new, you get to pick between one of two things, which will either be, usually you always get more road tiles, which are a limited resource. And then otherwise you can get like maybe like a roundabout or traffic lights or motorway, or I forget what they call it, a freeway, speedway or something, where you can then like, build like a giant bridge that goes over all your roads, and then the cars will kind of zip over to the other part of the map a little more quickly, and obviously bypass all the traffic lights and interconnecting roads and cars and stuff like that. It's just a really fantastic game with a really great aesthetic. Across the board visually. It's like really simple, really clean. You can just like scroll up and down on the mouse to zoom in. I wish they had like varying zoom levels. It seems there's a few different options like to change the overall zoom level, but it seems like it's just either the maximum zoom out or the maximum zoom in, or there's like kind of just two settings. I wish you could kind of like, cause as you play and get further, like the city that you're playing in, and they're all based on real cities, although I think it's procedurally generated every time you boot up a level to some small degree, like the map grid or whatever. But like the city will like continue to expand as time goes on. And you're basically just trying to get as many people from point A to point B as possible before there's like, basically like a set timer on like, okay, if you can't get anyone from here to there in this set amount of time, then you lose or something like that. I don't know exactly how to explain it, because I actually, when I lose, I'm like, it feels like I'm getting cars that I don't know why they're not getting there fast enough. So sometimes it can be a little bit frustrating, but at the same time, it's got this like such like a relaxing nature and just vibe to it that it's just easy to just let it go. And usually, at least in my experience, I've done well enough on each stage to like unlock the next one just by nature of playing the one time. So I haven't been, but you can like play like an endless mode on each stage, and there's just a ton of variety in this game on top of just being such a slick package. So I've been really hooked on that one, and I don't see myself getting pulled away from it anytime soon. It's like the perfect game to relax with after work, while I want to like kind of do something else at the same time. So but anyways, yeah, I think I've done more than enough rambling here. We've got a little bit of a meatier conversation on the back end too, and a little bit more laughter than usual too. I feel like I was cracking up quite a bit while editing this chunk coming up here. So yeah, without further ado here, I'll kick it over to John, Randall, and I for a little more video games action and chit chat and whatnot. And yeah, until next week, we'll catch you then, and take care. Which is dumb. I think I own the Wii U version, so it's like, why I should just played it on that.
That's not how it works, Kevin. You buy it again.
I'm an idiot. I still haven't rebought Donkey Kong Country Returns yet. I'm tempted, but I keep looking at the trailers and I'm like, this really doesn't look that fucking different. I know they added another world, but
did they? I didn't even realize that.
The 3DS world, right?
Yeah, the world they added from the 3DS game. Or the remake. So it's like it has that in it. So part of me is like, oh well, it has like new
more
stuff
interested.
in it.
Yeah,
that definitely like tips it a little bit. But if it was just like it honestly, I'm trying to find the words, but it just, the only thing to say is that it makes no sense that game is $60 and then Metroid Prime Remastered was $40. Like what the fuck? Like they actually did a lot of work on the game.
Yeah,
like,
they sure did.
They pretty much just took, from what I can tell, Donkey Kong Country Returns is like they just like fucking up-res the game. Like it doesn't look any, they just like took the exact game they had before and they're just like, now we can run it in 1080p or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Metroid's not a mover. People don't buy Metroid games.
But still. To me, then that's like all the more reason to charge $60 for it, because it's like, okay, well now like the people who are going to buy Metroid games are just going to buy them,
Right.
I don't know. It's just I mean I'm not going to complain, but it's just like it should have been $40 or $50 or whatever.
Yeah, 60 is especially a little nuts.
Especially because it was $50 on the Wii. You know what I mean? It wasn't like a $60 game. Wii games were $50.
Yeah, they weren't they?
Yeah.
And then when you would get ports of games like Resident Evil 4, they would be $20 sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. Resident Evil 4, when it came out, was $20.
$20 fucking dollars.
And they,
with content that you couldn't
get. They had to do work. Yeah. They had to, add the motion controls,
Let alone the what's the name? Ada, what's her name? Ava, something like that. The missions that were on the PS2 version, but not on the GameCube version. Ada
Wong. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think is her name.
Yep.
Yeah. Like, gone are the days of that, man.
Yeah.
Oh, did you see? I was just scrolling through the upcoming games on Switch. Did you know they are re-releasing Ninja 5.0? I'm guessing you probably did, Randall. You pre-ordered it.
No, because I want them to actually re-release the actual Game Boy Advance cartridge, and then not. I know. I actually thought
that they were when I saw it at first, and then I was like, oh wait, it's not. Weird.
No, I know.
But I wouldn't mind having that on Switch, but I saw it was like already out. And I don't have it in me to pre-order. I've said this many times before, but to like do those pre-order from this specific website in advance and like wait for it for, like how many times have you said, Randall, like, oh man, I'm waiting on, did I order that or not? And like, I'm just so bad about remembering that stuff. I'd just be like, man, I'm just like throwing money down the drain.
I know. And it's it's like the most expensive way to do it.
Yeah.
Too.
It's like, oh, let me get the $90, like, okay, it's $40-$50 plus you have to pay shipping because it's not from any kind of, no free shipping from this website. No. And like, oh, it's from Europe, so you got to pay the overseas shipping. So it's just like, that's why I didn't get that Euphoria collector's edition, because it did have like a really cool like case and came with some cool stuff. But I was like, I'll just get the physical like Amazon version or the one I can get on Amazon, because
no, it's totally fair.
Doesn't matter that much to me. I'm gonna die one day and nobody's going to care about the cases in my game collection.
That was a hell of a leap. That's honestly the
main thing. That's the main thing I try to remember when I go like down a rabbit hole collecting and just like, oh my God, it's got a little rip in the corner of the case.
Yes.
I just like try to remember like, okay, but one day I'm just going to fucking die and nobody's going to care that this case has a little rip in the corner.
That's the spirit.
Because I still sit there and think, I think I told you guys like I got that Bayonetta Origins game and it's got the little tear in and I still am sitting there like I'm like, should I buy another version of it and return this one? And it's just like I already unwrapped it. I unwrapped it. It's too late. I didn't notice it until I unwrapped it. So
damn it.
But then part of me is like, I could just buy it on Amazon, and because like one of the options on Amazon is like, they're like, is it still in the original packaging or no? And you can just pick no, and you can still return it. So it's like, maybe I'll just do that.
Oh, yeah. Wow. Times have changed.
Yeah. Amazon, I think, is just like, we don't give a fuck. We're making so much money. We'll take anything. If you're going to go to the trouble to send it back to us, we'll take it back.
Who cares? Yeah.
We'll take it and we'll figure it out.
Uh-huh.
So, but I don't know if it's worth it to go through that hassle.
Wow, they're actually re-releasing Gimmick on NES, but unfortunately, I'm enough of a sicko that I want the Famicom version with the expanded audio, because that's one of the best reasons.
That is some amazing music, yeah,
unbelievable,
for real. And it's a shame that like even with like that Switch version that I got with like the enhanced rewind features to make it quote unquote easier, that game is just maybe like the hardest video game I've ever played.
It is.
I know that's like an overstatement.
No, it's very brutal. Yeah.
It's brutal.
It is.
I've never played a platformer that is like so instantly unforgiving and like so willing to just throw nonstop.
Yeah. It's more akin to like, I want to be the guy or something like that, really, is that experience. That's what Gimmick is ultimately. But it's so pretty in visuals and in audio.
Yeah. And the quote unquote gimmick of the controls are really cool. Like the way you can hop on the star and like ride it around.
Yes. Or literally aim your star throw and like bounce it purposefully to get to a higher area. Yeah.
Yeah. It's really cool. That's kind of why I really want to play that Gimmick too, even though I don't love the art style. After seeing like the pretty positive reception, I'm like, I bet you they like toned down the insane difficulty a little bit and like made it a little bit more balanced. Who knows? Maybe they just leaned into like, hey, people love Gimmick because it's so hard.
Fiona actually loves like watching Gimmick and the soundtrack and stuff. So I did end up buying one of the pre-orders for the stupid physical Gimmick too for that purpose. So
nice. I didn't know that they had a physical coming out for that. I was kind of waiting for that.
Yeah, I did it.
Yeah, I'm about to, because I'm sitting on, I think I said I got Luigi's Mansion 2 for Christmas, but it was like, I think I told you guys I got like a bunch of weird, like that one, maybe it was like a Spanish version. I don't know. It didn't even have like a rating on the front of the game.
My copy of Luigi's Mansion is also like a PAL version of like Luigi's Mansion 3.
Weird.
Which like, yeah, I don't, maybe they just like mass or like have more European copies available. I don't know.
I think too, a lot of times when I don't know if you bought that on Amazon or got it or online, somebody got it for you on like a gift, but like with Amazon, like a lot of times you're like buying it from like most of the time from like a third party seller. And it's like, okay, I've come to find like, okay, this is one that I can trust that usually has like the US copies. Because if it's not like a pretty mainstream game, a lot of times it is like coming from not Amazon,
Yep.
There's a Wii game that I'm not going to remember the name of it. So
describe it.
No, it's
we worked retail in the Wii era, so there's a chance we might remember it.
Fragile Memories.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I got that, and I who knows where that one came from. Like I just got a copy of it. I was like, it was back in the era like
Fragile Dreams, Farewell Ruins of the Moon.
Oh damn!
I kind of remember that. Yeah,
I do too.
God, I never beat
Exceed published game. No wonder it was on my radar at one point. Yep.
Yeah. Is it kind of like a horror-ish game?
Kinda. Yeah. Horror, like sci-fi,
photography,
fantasy. Not it. Yeah, kind of. Maybe it did have a.
Maybe
like
I'm
it was
mixing it up
ghost
with something else,
but like ghost related or like
okay,
death related. Like
Kevin, you're thinking of Fatal Frame.
I know. I was also thinking of like I was like, or what's the other one?
There was another one that kind of did it too. Yeah.
Oh, what was it? Had a Pete name.
Deadly Premonition.
Deadly Premonition. Oh,
that might be.
That wasn't one that I was
movie.
thinking of. That's the other thing. Oh God, something Trick.
I think that might just be a movie. I don't know.
Yeah, whatever. Anyway, weird games that like didn't have very many physical copies back in an era when
that's right,
games still only came out as physical copies.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Like I had a hunt for the original Xenoblade Chronicles.
Oh yeah. Oh yes. That was a whole thing.
Yeah.
Yep. Project Rainfall or whatever.
Got that from a weird No, maybe that was Nintendo's store back when that was barely a store. I think that might have been how I got that.
Jeez, yeah, I kind of remember. Yeah, you could order that from them.
Yeah, it was weird.
I think I got it from like the GameStop at U of I, and like it was the only copy there.
That rules.
I still always wanted to play that other game that came through as part of that same campaign.
Last Story.
Yeah, and I think there was another one too. There was another.
Yes,
one.
there was. There was another one. I don't think I bought that other one.
I never got any of them other than Xenoblade. I actually don't even know if I got Xenoblade. I can't remember. I know I have Xenoblade on like the 3DS remake, but
Pandora's Tower.
Is that the one?
Pandora's Tower was the third pillar of the Rainfall Operation Rainfall. Yes.
Okay. Well, which one was the one that had like kind of like almost like the third person, like over the shoulder, like shooting mechanic?
I think Last Story, I believe.
Okay, that's the one I always wanted to play. I thought that game looked really cool. And then there was also that PS3 game from Sega that was like kind of like an RPG that had like some like over the shoulder. It started with an R. Part of me wants to say Resonance of Fate, but that feels like it's just the name of. I feel like I'm just like throwing together like words that sound like a name. Although Deadly Premonition is a video game. No, Resonance of Fate is the subtitle for something else. No, it's the game I was thinking of.
Oh damn!
I love it.
Pull it out of
brains, baby brains.
Nowhere. That was insane. But yeah, it's like a JRPG, but like it has this like kind of like over the shoulder like shooting like mechanic. It just looked really cool, and it reminds me of that Last Story game. I think.
Dang, this was not on my radar, despite being a Sega thing. That's very interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. And it came out on 360 too.
Nice. So that means that you could download it on a
remastered version, Resonance of Fate 4K/HD edition. That doesn't make any sense. Was released worldwide for PlayStation 4 and Windows in 2018.
I would definitely play that game. It looked cool.
Yay for weirdo games that took chances.
See, yeah, those were great. Like,
yes,
like thinking about Fatal Frame, thinking about what is there's another game that I can't remember, but I feel like it was in the same thing of like Fatal Frame, or like the same concept of like photography, horror.
And it was a Wii game? Maybe not.
Maybe a PlayStation 2 game.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. That PlayStation 2 library is so deep.
Phew. Massive.
I never understand the compulsion of like that one documentary that I was watching about the collecting. Like a lot of the people in it were like, "Oh, I gotta have my full NES collection." You know, it's ever released. I never understand that compulsion to like I want to have every release.
Yeah, that's
on
not
a platform.
No.
I mean, unless I'm like literally have infinite money.
Yeah.
Like I gotta curate my collection. That's the whole point of collecting it.
And that
it's
might
not like I just want to hunt down everything that exists. That's not fun to me.
It might have been a little bit more doable, years ago.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Especially if you had enough of a head start on it and
you
were into it in the old days where average price might have been under $10 for most of the things there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually,
yeah.
Here's the thing. Let's look how many games came out on the PlayStation 2.
Oh God.
Oh my God. That's what made me think of it, is like how many fucking games. Like imagine being like, I gotta have the entire PlayStation 2 collection. And then
if
some
you're
of those
all territories, like
I was just gonna say some of those sickos are like you gotta have every version of it.
No, that's the point.
Gotta have the greatest hits and it's just like no.
Unless there's special things.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay. Wikipedia lists 4,380 from A through K.
Oh my
Oh
God.
my good
Jesus.
Lord. That's sickening. Yeah, that's sickening because that doesn't include any downloadable games. Those are all physically
Physical.
released
Yeah.
games. That's insane.
Yeah. That is nuts.
Although to counter that, with the digital side of things, I went on the Switch eShop and there are currently 4,000 games on sale right now. So
I buy that. Yep.
or discounted. I mean, like obviously more like that are actually for sale.
Okay, so it is actually 4,380 games between both A through K and L through Z.
Okay.
But that's
So
still...
the exact amount that are currently on sale on Switch. So eat that, Sony. That's what you get for not working with us on the Nintendo PlayStation.
That's
Actually,
right.
it was Nintendo that pulled the plug on that, but
Yeah, it was.
One other thing...
can't remember why. It was something so petty.
Nintendo.
I forgot to bring up Randall last week was I started playing your resolution game again.
Oh, Yakuza 0?
Yeah, buddy.
Wait, slow down. Slow down.
I'll fire
I
it
just
up.
played it for one day.
Yeah,
All right, I'm gonna.
1 month.
You put the burners on me. I was already
I got-
thinking about it. I'm like, it is January. I should probably.
Hey, and I already played mine, man. I already started mine. I might play one more session with it because I do kind of want to stream and just like make fun of it while I play. Because
You're not gonna. What chapter did you leave off on?
Still at chapter 8 where I was
Out of what,
last
like
time we talked
24?
about it. Yeah, I think it said there was either 22 or 24. I've seen conflicting reports.
I'm sorry, my brain's mush. What was your resolution game again, Kevin?
Uncharted, baby.
Oh, geez, that's
Uncharted
right.
4.
That's right. Yeah, and you're still playing it.
Treasure.
You're still playing it. Oh, that's interesting.
I haven't touched it yet since last time we talked about it.
Is it
but I
still
do
in
wanna-
disc?
If you
system?
push through
Yeah.
like a couple more chapters, if it picks back up, or if it's just continues the slog.
It's definitely just I feel like I've seen the ebb and flow of the game, flow.
Because I have had that with certain like story based games where like, I'll get to a point and it's like, all right, we're back on track. Like they were cooking again, and then like it just cools down for a section and I'm like, this game actually sucks, and then it picks back up and I'm like, maybe it's not so bad.
Yeah. I'll just say so far I haven't had any moments where I thought the gameplay was sucking me in. So far the only thing that sucked me in is like just the production value of like the story and like presentation of just like the way and it's not like, what an amazing story, but it's just like, it's just so well done that it's like, okay, they're nailing it. But it's like, again, I think I said this to you guys too. It's just like, okay, do I really want to play the first level of Crash Bandicoot like 3 times? Like you die, you just got to start over? Like, what, are you kidding me? And you have to play it with the D-pad. You can't even use the analog stick. Like they make you feel like you're playing on an original PlayStation. But then they don't even set it like. It's not like it takes place in the era that the PlayStation came out. You're playing it on like a big flat screen TV.
Yeah.
And like, he's like, oh, you like your little game? Oh, you like your little game? It's just like, get the fuck. He's like, I'll play you for it. If I can beat your high score, I'll do the dishes.
You don't think
then you do this? It's so fucking stupid. So that's why I think it would be fun to stream because I can just mock this game to no living end. It's like hysterical.
You don't think
how
Nathan
dumb
Drake
it
has
is.
his original PlayStation hooked up by RetroTink video upscaler? He didn't go that route.
No, he's like a total idiot in the scene. I don't know if you remember, but he's like, what is this? I thought I knew how to play these games. He's like a total idiot that's like never played a game in his life.
None of these buttons say jump.
Yeah, it's like pathetic. But then at the same time, it's like while you're playing and like dying and stuff and narrating it and like she's like talking a little trash to you, it's like there's an element to this that is well done and it's a cool idea to pay homage to their original game and like it's such a cool idea on paper. But then it just like while you're playing it, it's like you just feel like, oh man, these guys are just stroking their ego so hard while they made this scene. And it's just like, I don't know, it just doesn't, in the end, it doesn't work that good. And then like, especially when later in the game, you're just like, okay, I'm just literally pushing around this crate on wheels in this open space for like no
lot of
it's just not fun.
No.
It's on this uneven terrain. It's just clunky. It's just stupid. It's a stupid game. But
welcome aboard,
Definitely
Kevin.
stream it.
but I do want to play it more because there were moments where I was like dying laughing at like the just idiocracy of both what I was doing and like, you know, just the way the game was unfolding. So it would be fun to stream. I did have a couple moments too where I ended up like riding backwards, and that was kind of a cool feeling. Like accidentally just like went up a slope weird and just like, oh shit, now I'm turned around and like, oh, how does this steer? It's got some cool moments like that.
Manual crash and just need to start over. I don't know how to flip myself back around.
Yeah. Oh, I kind of love getting put into a position where it's like, fuck. Like I haven't crashed, but I'm going so slow that it's ruining this section.
Just destroyed the run. Yeah.
Oh, it's great.
I did one like that where I fell and like, you know how like every once in a while you can hear like your character's like voice like real distinctly.
Oh yeah.
And like he was just like, I can't remember the exact sound, but I was dying because it was so quiet. It was just like so clearly like a person and like grunt, like I was like, that was hilarious.